afternoon and welcome to Real Chicks Rock Presents Real Discussions. I am your host, Michelle Dosberg, and as you can see, I'm super excited to be here. I'm always excited to be here. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and guess what? Today we are celebrating my 10-year anniversary. Yes! So the people are like, Michelle, why are you doing the show? And then you got an event later today? Because I wanted to talk to this lady today. It was just going to just set me off today. So yes. So we have things to cover. But first of all, thank you to all the new listeners that are checking us out. Let me give you a little bit of background about what Real Chicks Rock is all about. We're all about creatively collaborating to connect and raise awareness regarding issues that impact us women. And we do it by way of community service, public speaking, mentoring, the workshops, and the arts. And we've been doing this particular platform. This is our 7th season, so we've been doing this for 7 years. This lady to my right, she was here with me way back in the day when I had some photographers, and we talked all about photography, and I thought some of the most influential ones in the business at that time. And so I saw her the other day, and I was like, you are amazing. It's time to just bring you back and just give you the whole time for you because you're just doing some dope work. So without any further ado, today's topic is something in the way she moves. Mm-hmm. Don't you like that?
I do like that.
I hear that in my head. It's actually the way the Beatles was singing it. Something in the way she moves. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was something like no other lover. It was beautiful. Anyway, I won't try to sing, but that's where the topic came from for inspiration. And so my guest today is Melissa Alexander, aka Phyllis Iller. How you doing?
I'm good.
You are good.
Yeah.
You look amazing.
Thank you. So do you.
Thank you. You just, my nickname. Can I say your nickname on the air? Can I say? I call her Juicy.
You do.
And she responds.
And you've done that consistently for some years now.
Since we met. We met years ago, and we met off the love of Ross Sirius, who's my DJ today at the event, and Tora Torres, and we were doing an event like at the park, and you were cool enough to work with us to do our little commercial, little video, and that's how we met. And you were like, I like your energy, and I like yours too.
Yeah, man.
And we connected.
Yeah, man.
And then you were doing some things at the crib, like, invite only. But you was like, yo, come on over. I typically just, play with my camera, take a couple of pictures. I talk to you, get to know you. Sometimes we play games. We have game night. We just chill. I did a couple of those. But yeah, I came over and you took like the dopest.
Yeah, man. That was some years. That was like maybe about 5-6 years ago now.
Yes, ma'am. And we were talking about your goals and your dreams and your aspirations.
Wow, that's crazy.
And people love the black and whites because I was in a space of, darker skin, melanin women. Sometimes we're not often captured the right way. And I had always trepidation about it. I just felt like I was just going to be like too, if that makes sense. And you were like, no, I'm up for the challenge. Yeah. And you took some really great pictures of me.
It was a good time, man. That was awesome. That was back when I was still figuring things out, and I was still trying to understand lighting, and I was still trying to understand what exactly a camera does, and not in terms, I know the function of it,
right?
But what could I do with it? What was I trying to say? What was I trying to convey? I just know that I really wanted to make people feel special and make them feel beautiful, and it was like, for me, it's kind of like, yo, if you tell me I don't take good pictures, or I'm not really sure about taking pictures, or any of that type of stuff, I'm like, that's what I want to work with, because I want to show you, what you look like.
Yeah,
so
you do a great job. And then, you're all about community. I'm going to be all over the place. I'm going to try not to be, because you're awesome and you touch different pockets, right?
Yeah.
And I want to talk about that day, because at that day when we had our time and you was taking pictures of me and I was laughing and smiling and just feeling beautiful because you made me feel that way just in our conversation. You shared your dreams. You were working for someone at that time.
I was.
And you were like, I'm really trying to figure this out. Me and my daughter are good. I'm good. I love my neighborhood. I'm good. I'm just feeling like the universe is telling me I need to step out. And then shortly after, what did you do?
Yeah, I quit. I quit. I pieced out to that.
Yeah.
It was just, it was like, sometimes when you get a feeling in the pit of your stomach and you just like, man, that's a crazy idea. Like, or you even feel crazy thinking about considering it. Or when you're in the act of it, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, but something is telling me that this is the right thing to do, right? It's something literally in the way she moves, right? And then it came to a day where I think I might have been running late, and I knew I was going to be late for work. And I was like, if I'm running late and I don't care, it's time for me to leave, right? Yeah. It's time for me to break out. Right. So I walked into that job. That day. Like, I walked into the job, and I was the first person to get there for my team. I was always the first person. And I looked at my desk, and I was like, yo, I can't do this one more day.
Wow.
I can't do this one more day. I can't do this. I can't sit here and say, thank you for calling State Farm. This is Melissa. How may I assist you today?
Ooh, she got the voice too.
Yeah, I do have the voice. Yeah. Right, I have the voice for it. But I knew that there was a better way for me to help people. I got tired of telling people no. In that way, like when they're at their lowest, when they've gotten a car accident, when they, all these different things. I had to tell them no so many times. I was like, yo, then the culture, all of that thing. So when I walked in, I looked at my desk and I was like, can't do this, right? And I was like, I think I'm about to quit. Oh shit, I'm about to quit. I'm quitting, right? So I gathered up all the good pens. I got a couple notebooks. You know what I'm saying? All the stuff they be leaving out. Took all that stuff.
That's called an exit strategy.
I pushed in my chair and I walked out. And on my way out, I handed my badge to the guard. You know what I mean? And I was like, yo, I'm not going to need this. And he was like, dang, you're the third person this week. It was a Monday. It was a Monday when this happened. And when he said that, I was like, how? 3 people already quit. But the thing is that, like, that was October 16th. Yeah. 2017.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Because my birthday is October 13th. I had just had a really great weekend with my family, with my friends. I felt celebrated. I felt good.
Yes.
All those moments that I'm not able to like really like take advantage of.
Right.
Because I was working so much for someone else. I was like, yo, I feel like my time should be my own.
Yeah.
And that's when, that Monday, I walked in there and I was like, yo, I'm not doing this no more. I felt great for like a day.
Man.
And then
the reality hit.
And then I was talking to my homegirl, my best friend, and I was like, yo, Nika, what did I do? She was like, dog, I don't know. I don't know, man. She was like, I got your back, but I'm not sure why you left. I'm not sure, She was like, I can't help. Like, I can't help you. Like, I told my mom. My mom was like, yo, you left 40 hours a week. You left healthcare. You left paycheck every 2 weeks. I was like, yeah, because I was drowning. I was dying. I was drowning. I wasn't happy.
You wasn't happy.
You know what I'm saying? And I felt, what I felt from photography was like, it felt like I was in a dark place and photography was like shining on me. And it was just kind of like, it was almost like some Morse code in the distance, like lights, you know what I'm saying? I could see something in the distance. You know what I'm saying? I could see it and I was like, what is that light over there? And the closer I got, the more I started to feel more like myself. And the closer I got, the more I started to say,
it's beautiful.
Yo, I think there's really something I could give people here in a way where I'm having fun. I'm enjoying myself, and the more I enjoy myself, the more into it I'll be. Oof. And the more I was into it, the more encompassing it became. The more I was like, yo, this is my life now. I want this to be my life. Yeah. And from October 16, 2017, it's been nothing. I mean, it's been up and down. Yeah. Because I'm my own business owner and all that stuff. Right. And I got to figure out every month it's going to be different than the last month.
That's right.
But the happiness I feel, the overwhelming happiness, and the fact that I don't got no one saying, yo, Melissa, your lunch break was a little long. It instead of the 30 minutes, you went to 36, and we need to discuss. Or or me saying, yo, my daughter's sick. I had to tell them this one time. Yeah. I was like, yo, my daughter has a 106 fever at school.
That's a radio station.
You know, this is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
That's high.
My daughter has a radio station fever.
Word up.
106. And they was like, I was like, the school is telling me to come pick her up. And I got to go. And my manager was like, well, is there anyone else that can go to her? You're going to tell a mom that they can't go to their child when they, you know? So for me, it was just kind of like, it was a no-brainer. But I didn't just quit willy-nilly. It was, I had been building things, you know, I had a 9 to 5, but I still had my 5 to 9. You understand what I'm saying? The hustle, right? So that I was doing that at night. So by then, I had built up enough, not so much. If I was going back, I might not have quit right at that moment. But it made me hungry. You know what I'm saying? I was hungry. I was like, yo, scared money don't make none. I gotta get up. I gotta do what I can. And then it was like the next thing I knew, right? It was maybe December. I had 2 integral phone calls. I had a phone call from Makiba, who worked at the Spelman Museum.
Shouts out to Makiba.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Makiba.
When she was over there, so when she was over there, right. So she hit me up, and then Carlton from Black Men Smile, who was also a professor at Emory, hit me up, and they both was like, we would like for you to partner with our schools for projects, and I was like, and you're paying? And they was like, yeah, we're paying, and I was like, all right. I said, okay, well, if I can make this thing happen until March, I'm gonna keep going. Yeah. And I was like, if there ain't nothing doing it by March, right, you know what I mean? I was like, there's only so much I can, you know, there's only so much weight I can bear. But if I see something that is saying, yo, keep going by March, then I'm gonna keep going. And it's been going since then.
Since 5 years ago. You're celebrating your 5th year of being like
self-employed. Wild.
The timing of this is amazing.
That's wild.
It's not just my anniversary, yours too this month. Yeah. You got a birthday and your freedom ticket, like being an entrepreneur and self-employed. It's beautiful. Yeah. Doing the thing that you love the most.
Truly.
And you're so good at it. I want to take a step back because I think for some of the people, like I said at the beginning, you were with me years ago. Like we were in a different location, it was a different setting, and now it's different. But where are you from? People need to know where you're from because you have an energy and a vibe that I immediately relate to because it feels so up north-ish. You know, it feels so like, you know what I'm saying? I'm from the Bronx. It feels so boogie down-ish. Like, I feel like when I see you, I can give you a pound. Like, what's good? Like, that's how I feel when I talk to you.
So my family is from New York.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I was raised by a man from Brownsville.
Yes, right? Brooklyn.
Yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? He's from Brownsville. Then my mom is from, she was born in Harlem, but she lived upstate.
Yes, okay.
Around Kingston, that area, Woodstock. Right? So I always had that sensibility. But I was born in California, and before I was 10, I lived in California, Texas, Maryland, and Connecticut.
Wow,
So my dad was in banking and he transferred a lot. So it's like I never really grew to have an accent. You know what I'm saying? It's for people to tell where I'm from.
It's more of an attitude.
But I sound like my parents. But it's still softened because I've been here since I was 10. I've been in Georgia since I was 10. I consider myself a Southerner. Right? But the thing is that while I do have like the sensibilities of a Southerner, of like, and like the way you're supposed to, like when you walk past someone on a porch, you look at them and you say hello.
You say hi,
right?
Or you wave.
You wave. You ain't gotta have no long conversation, but you know, or if you're walking past someone on the street, you smile, you know what I'm saying? How you doing? Hey, hey, how's it going? Hey, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Don't gotta be a whole bunch. You hold, you know, certain things, right? So I feel very much like a Southerner, but when I go up north, and I know that's how I really know that I'm from down here, because I just was in New York a couple of days ago, and I'm sitting here like, you know, smiling at people, and they looking at me like, yo, what's wrong with her? you all right? You're not from here. No, I'm not from here, right?
You gotta tone that down. When
you have to tone it down. But at the same time, being down here, because of who I was raised by, I seem a little more like, not gruff with it, but I seem a little more hard body. I'm not hard body at all, which is so funny, but I seem a little bit more hard body because my father's from Brownsville and he don't play that, and you know what I'm saying. So, but yeah, I'm from Jonesboro, Georgia, man.
That's what you claiming today. That's what you claiming.
Graduated and all that. Yeah.
So, Melissa, I want to ask you, how come the 90s is such an influence or inspiration to you? What is it so special?
The 90s?
Yeah. Why is that
I'm a 90s kid.
Why is that so special to you? Well, yeah, people.
I'm a 90s kid.
So the music, the culture, all that, you just embrace all that. I mean, for people that can't see you, people that are listening to you on podcasts and stuff, she's got the round the way hoops on, like the big earrings. She's got her name, like those that don't know, like getting your name on the necklace was the thing. Yeah. I got one. Still got mine. So why the 90s? Because
well, let's shout out to you for still having yours. But like the 90s, you know, like I said, I'm a 90s kid. I consider myself, I used to call myself like hip hop's little sister. But really, I think I'm like hip hop's second sister. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like little sister, because I came of age when, like, I remember hearing electric relaxation, like, moment that, you know, they all say, oh, what's the, you know, when did you fall in love with hip hop?
Right.
For me,
come on,
right. Love that movie, right? But it was being maybe 7 years old, 8 years old, and listening and hearing electric relaxation through my brother's door.
My God.
Right? And being like, just hearing the bass and like all of that. And I just remember being like, dang, what is that? Like, that feels, I don't know what it did to me, but it was a moment that I won't forget, right? And it's probably going to manifest itself in like a film or something that I do one day.
We'll talk about that.
But because of that, right, thinking about, what was that, 93?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When that album came out. So it's like the 90s form. And then, okay, I'll say this. Even for how my life has gone, it's like my parents divorced in 96. And that was a really traumatic experience for me, right? And it defines a lot of my life. Certain things that happened then, I'm still dealing with now. Right? Emotionally and all of that kind of stuff. So when I think about 93 to like 95, it's really like the calm before the storm, right? And it's the sweet spot before the storm.
Right.
And so it's like I hold and I cherish that a lot. So I think not just about the music that was coming out, I think about the fact, I look at my brother who's 7 years older than me. So seeing him try to form a singing group like Shy, right? And him and his boys downstairs practicing, you know what I'm saying? Or I think about my cousins who were from New York that live with us, and they going to school in Hartford, and seeing how they were dressing and seeing, like, you know, and listening to the slang, and then going to New York and visiting and stuff. So it's like all of that created a sense of nostalgia, right? An appreciation for the era. And then even prior to that, you know, I'm born in 85, so how much of the 80s do I really remember, right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
maybe
not as much, but it's still an appreciation for this culture that has been the backdrop of my whole entire life. You know what I mean? And it's like, even though I don't necessarily consider myself hip hop sister number one, because I don't, right? There's a lot of albums and stuff that I haven't heard. It's in me, right?
In you.
I lean more towards 70s soul and like 60s soul and stuff, like funk and all that, jazz, all that. That's more my shit right there.
Okay.
But in terms of how I move and what is laid the foundation of me, you know, that's easily like the 90s and that hip hop feeling, right?
They say, you know, most people say, at least in the hip hop space, that the 90s was the best decade for hip hop. It just infused a lot of great artists, great tracks, great music, great lyrics. Just people can remember where they were when certain things were played on the radio, like the first time, like, you know, your remembrance of first time you heard that track, and it was like, wow, you were like, what is that?
What is that feeling?
It was like, man, if you didn't know hip hop then, you might have missed some stuff.
Like seriously, when I hear people who are like between like at the low end theory, but at the low end thinking about like maybe like 42, like, you know, mid to late 40s, early 50s. When I hear their stories about when they were younger, and like I can only imagine what it's like to be 18, 19 years old in 1992. You know what I mean? And how culturally like the cultural revolution that was going on, because it was like now hip hop is becoming this thing that's becoming more mainstream. It's becoming much more accepted, and all of that. And you have this collective spirit of like owning blackness again, and then, you know, and like coming together. I can only imagine what that was like.
It was dope.
It must have been incredible.
It was very incredible. And then,
the jams, like the dancing, the house music, the
whole thing,
and all of it.
And you know, for me, Melissa, and I think, you know, I've shared this with you previously, but I'll lean it in for the listeners. I was born in the Bronx, born and raised, been in Atlanta a long time, but my roots come from the Bronx, and so I came from the projects where Africa Bambaataa was spinning. Like, we came from the same project. So I came from Bronx River Projects. Earlier this year, I had Mr. Biggs on my show from Soul Sonic Force, just connecting because we grew up in the same neighborhood and the whole thing, and it was just dope. So to be a part of the birth of it is amazing. It's mind-blowing. And so I definitely continue to stay tuned in and plugged into it because change is inevitable, right? But I appreciate those that continue to bridge the gap, because it is a culture that's not going away, and it is life-changing. And so I wanted to talk to you about, you know, I know I've not heard you, but I know you like music. So did that help spawn off maybe that little DJ phase, or how did we become like a DJ, like a selectress, like doing stuff? When did that come into play, and why?
You know, that's funny because, damn. I haven't really thought about that in a long time, but honestly, I wanted to become a DJ from the time I was a teenager, like when I was about 16. Wow. I was listening to a lot of house and trance music and like drum and bass and stuff.
I see you.
And I was like, oh man, yo, I want to be a DJ. I want to rock these like big stadiums and all this kind of thing. So I'd ask my father for turntables, and that particular Christmas, I didn't get turntables, I got a camera. So that started the camera journey, right?
You.
But the desire to be a DJ never went away. Now, what transformed things was once I moved to Atlanta. I graduated from high school in 2003. Went to Georgia State, right? Now, at the time, the Georgia State dorms were right next to Apache Cafe, right? So I would go over to Apache Cafe on Tuesdays for Drez's Mic Club. And like, it would be so much fun. And I was like, yo, this is hip hop, like in my face. This is battles, ciphers, all this stuff, right? And I was like, I want to do that. I want to be a DJ. I feel like I could do this.
Yes.
So, of course, in meeting people during that time, I met and eventually formed a relationship with a gentleman named DJ Ox, right? Ox unfortunately passed away about a year after I met him, but in that time, I remember talking to him a lot about DJing, and I was like, I think this is what I want to do. He was like, you sure? Because, you know, it takes a lot. And I was like, blah, blah, you know, we're going back and forth. But before we could really, like, start my training, he ended up getting sick and passed, right? Sorry. So as my homage to him, I promised myself and the community at his like, funeral, essentially, that I was like, yo, I'm going to do this thing. And I did it, right? I did it for a couple years. And I carried crates, and I was digging through vinyl because I was like, "Yo, if I'm gonna do this thing, I have to do it for real.
Yeah,
like I gotta know what it's like to have. I gotta remember. I remember watching Ox pick up crate after crate.
Yeah,
you know, and his back be hurting and his fingertips would be dusty, and I was like, I want that, right? And so that's the experience I had. But it was during that I realized, yo, I don't have to I don't have to play Tribe every time. I don't have to play Biggie. I don't have to play Nas. I don't have to play Jay-Z. I don't got to play the Beatnuts. I don't have to play certain things in order for my skills as a DJ to really shine. Right. And that's when I started like picking up Herbie Hancock and Roy Ayers. I mean, this is all music that my parents listened to, of course.
Bob James.
Right, you know what I'm saying? But then I started understanding what a sample is. And I was like, oh, wait, the sample sounds better than what sampled. Yes. What was sampled. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so I'm like, now I'm digging in the crates, not just to find, you know, hip hop. I'm digging in the crates because now I have an appreciation for this thing. So, you know, I started to understand that, you don't have to be one thing. You know what I mean? As much as I love playing songs for people and I love rocking a crowd and all of that, it was like, I was like, okay, I could give people what they know and what they've heard and what they love, but I can give them something new that's going to turn their mind out even more. Right. You know what I'm saying?
So now we got the camera from Dad. You know, we asked for turntables. Is that when you started picking up, or when you said, no, I'm not going to do music? Let me see what this camera life is all about.
Well, I stopped DJing because, you know, it's not because I was pregnant, but it was because I was pregnant. Okay. Right? And I ended up moving away. It was like I got pregnant out of wedlock, so I had to go out, Nah, it's not like that, but that's what it felt like. Okay. But that's what it felt like. Okay. I needed a reset. And being pregnant in the country in South Carolina where there ain't nothing going on, right? It was like, this is probably the best thing for me, right? And I just never actually ended up going back to it because I had her, and I was like, my priorities have to change now. Like it can't just be, for the rock a party. Some people can do that, but I was 25 with no quote unquote education, right? I didn't have a degree. I went to college, I dropped out, right? So it was like I dropped out 3 times, in fact. So because I was always looking for that thing, and I never felt it. So being that like a new mom and trying to take care of myself and all of that, I was like, I got to grow up. I got to be more serious. I got to get a 9 to 5. And that's when I got that 9 to 5. And I worked that for a few years. That I realized there was still something more that I was missing. I needed freedom. And, you know, this is not to say that I don't still love making mixtapes and stuff like that.
Okay, because it's on the website.
It is on the website. You know what I'm saying? I definitely have mixtapes, but it's like, but the actual act of rocking a party. Matter of fact, I was just looking at my vinyl yesterday, and I was like,
you felt the way.
Hey, it would be dope to have DJ Sweet Hots come back through.
Sweet Hots.
We'll see though.
At least occasionally. Yeah. Doesn't have to be, but when it hits you as a creative, you should just go with the
feeling. Listen to that, right? Yeah. That's
and
one thing we learned.
Bless us with that, you know? And things have changed now. We can send donations for mixes and things like that. Everything's online. Everything's...
Right, I can do that right in the crib. I don't got to go nowhere, right?
Digital and streaming and all this other stuff. You can
I thought about it. Definitely thought about it.
Absolutely. So we got the camera now. So we're starting to take pictures. What's your inspiration when you look through the camera? What do you see?
There's a lot of things that form that inspiration. You know, I would say for sure Black people, right? What's important to me is intimacy, right? And I can show intimacy in a number of different ways. It's not just the intimacy of the photo. It's the intimacy that the person in the photo feels for themselves. It's the intimacy that they feel when we create together. It's the intimacy that the viewer feels when they look at the photo, right? It's important to me, though, like I could show intimacy for anybody I photograph. But what's important to me is to show Black folks the sweetness, the intimacy, the closeness that we can feel with each other, because there's so many things out here that can make us hard. And I I find that there's a lot more strength, or I can't say a lot more strength, but there is a certain level of strength and courage that's needed to be soft, right? To lay down your guard, to be open and to be laid bare, right? So in my artist statement, I say I discuss and explore the interrelational intimacy that exists within Black Americans, right? Because I haven't quite made it outside of America yet, right? So for us here in America, for us here in America, it's like I want to show us our beauty, show us the sweet spots that exist, so that we really understand that yes, life is hard, yes, life gets crazy, and yes, there are people that are gunning for us and and don't want us to advance and all of that. But let's remember the sweetness of a baby's laugh. Let's remember how it feels to see a man grab his woman around the waist. Okay. Let's remember what it's like to see a woman rub her man's shoulders. Let's remember what it's like to see two parents kiss their child, or any number of things that going back to that unit, the family unit, but also the friends and homegirls, homeboys, all of these different things that make up our communities. It's like, let's really dive into that and let's really examine it and appreciate it. So it's hard to just say any one thing that influences my work or inspires my work, but in a lot of ways, intimacy and vulnerability are top of the list.
And you can see it in our eyes. You could see it. You you just have a way of picking that up.
It was because I show you me, right? When what I'm saying, it's like I'm not coming in here yeah, I love that. I mean, I might get into that mode depending on what's going on, right? But I'm not. I'm leading from a place of, I want to create something with you, and let's just see what happens, because I'm already opening myself. It's very rare that when I open or not just me, right, but when someone opens themselves to you and you feel that it's genuine and it's not just some fake news reporter wow, I'm so it's not the fakeness. When someone really opens themselves to you, there's a good chance that the other person will be like, maybe I can be a little open myself. It may not be a wide open book. Right.
You know what I'm saying? We got a chapter open or something.
You're saying you might got the first 2 pages.
Yeah, you got it.
You
peeking
pages.
in. You seen the preface.
The forward.
The forward. You reading that. Yeah. You getting the outline for sure.
You might get a little something.
Sure. Yeah.
Might be on the first flap, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. The fact is that the book opened. You know what I'm saying? So
which is huge.
So it's really just a matter of, it's a dance. It's a conversation that I tend to have, and I'm not talking about with words. I'm talking about with actions, with movements. It's someone's hair being out of place and me saying, do you mind? You know what I'm saying? And then it's kind of fluffing me. I remember there was a little girl, I had to fluff her afro up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I was like, you got to pick. Let's just do this real quick. You know what I'm saying? And I'm picking her hair out because that's love, right? And even though I just met you, that doesn't mean that, I care about you. I'll say that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's not love, right? But I care about you and I care about your well-being. Whoever steps in to my studio or steps in front of my camera. I care.
Yeah, you do. There's a sense of love. You've done so many beautiful projects, Melissa. I want to talk about the To West End with Love, because I think, wasn't that your tribute to the neighborhood, to your community? And I know you did, bless your heart, you took small kids. I think the ages might have been 7 to 12 or something like that, where you took them around in the neighborhood to show them different historical pieces and just art and people, and it was like a tour of West End. It was really cute.
It's important. My community is West End, Atlanta, right? In the shadow of Morehouse and Spelman and Clark and Morris Brown, right? West End is, I always tell people that West End is not the type of community where you go to see something. If we in New York, you go see this thing, or if you're in Boston, you go see that thing, or if you're in DC, if you're in Atlanta, you go to. It's not a specific place that you go to. It's a place that you let. Excuse me. It's a place that you let happen to you.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
West End is a place that you let happen. Are we live?
Yes.
I have to cough.
Go cough.
I have to cough.
That's fine. That's fine.
But yeah, it's a place that you let happen to you, and you just sit down and watch it pass by. So those works, and anything I really do in, like, I'm gonna try to keep West End as the backdrop if I can.
Right. You may have to get you some water.
Water would be great.
Yes, Joe, please, can we have some water? Thank you. So I'm gonna ask you about your other baby, Around the Way Dreams. You want to talk to me a little bit about that?
If I can.
Yeah. She needs the water. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, thank you.
While you're sipping on that, I want to say that, from what I see, a lot of the images that you've done, the work that you've done, it just seems perfect. And I know you're not even going for that, but it just depicts people, black people, in like a regal.
Because we are regal.
No matter what they're wearing, how they look, it doesn't even matter. It just, the way you take pictures of us, we just look special.
We are special.
And just like beautiful.
Like that's the thing. Like, I want people to be able to feel like, when they go to look at their pictures, I want them to say, yeah, that's me, right? That's what I really look like. It doesn't have to be of course, there are portrait photographers that can make you look like you're, in a fantasy world. Like, I just want to strip all of that down to you. Yeah. And it's not about, I don't mind. I love a good set now. Yeah. I love a good set, but it's really about you, right? And let's find that thing inside of you that shines so hard. Because I could take a picture of the same person, of different people in the same pose, but no, the photos won't look the same because, not just because of it's different person, but because they're each going to show something different. Right? So when it comes to Around the Way Dreams, Around the Way Dreams went from being a documentation of Around the Way girls that have grown up, but I'm slowly starting to shift that idea, because I feel like it's leaving out a very integral part of the experience of, well, for me, right? It's leaving out men, right? And while I think it's important to have spaces just for women, there's lots of spaces for that. There's lots of spaces for just women, right? And there's spaces for just men too. For me, I need that balance. I'm a Libra, right? I like that balance.
Isn't that the scales?
It's like, if I'm having conversations with women about growth and what has helped them to be who they are, I would be 1000% remiss if I did not mention that there were men in my life who have emboldened me to be more myself. Right, on my path. And it's not just my mates. I'm thinking about my father. I'm thinking about friends, my brothers. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about all of these men in my life that have also helped me. You know what I'm saying? My brothers, and like my brothers that are not necessarily blood. So it's like, all right, understanding that, yes, there are Around the Way girls. There's also dudes that are from around the way. Right. So now we're starting to get this conversation of what does it mean to be from around the way, and how can we connect these stories, because everyone has their own story. But I feel like the more you share your story and more you hear other people's stories, you'll start to see like, damn, I'm not alone in my experience. And then it's like, okay, now we're starting to connect the dots across. So someone in Cleveland could have had the same experience, a similar experience as someone in Watts. Right. Or someone in Seattle. Perhaps. Someone in Seattle could have had the same experience as someone in Memphis. Or someone in Sao Paulo, Brazil, may have had a very similar experience to someone in Kingston, Jamaica. Right. So it's like we're starting to connect this idea that to be from around the way, to me, you could be from anywhere. Yeah. So when we say around the way dreams, it's like understanding that as youngins, as youth, we had these ideas for ourselves. Did we become what we dreamt about? Got you. Did we? You know what I'm saying? And it's discussing that. And it's like, okay, well, if you did, why? If you didn't, why?
And are you still chasing it?
And are you still chasing it? Do you still have dreams?
Right. Because some people stop dreaming altogether.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, because they feel like it's not going to happen. Yeah. Or the disappointment of it not happening, right? So then this is really an opportunity to maybe reset that for people, because as we're seeing it, there's no age limit as to when you can, for dreams to come true. It's not just when you're younger. It can happen in any time in your timeline. Absolutely. And you just have to be open and surround yourself around other like-minded people that are dreaming and putting in the work to make those dreams happen. I know it's easier said than done, but I haven't reached my dreams. I'm 10 years old, but I'm still a long ways to go from where I ultimately want to be. But if I didn't do what I did, I don't know where I would be. I would be a different person.
This is what I'm saying.
I would be a different person. And I have to support you 100% on the men, because initially doing this, it was men holding me down, like supporting me and telling me, you can do this. It's a great idea. This is what you should do. Like giving me concepts and ideas and all that kind of stuff. And so, yes, I embrace, movements that include men to say something, because everyone is not bad. You know what I'm saying?
Say that again,
everyone
please.
is not bad. And there's some really decent dudes out here that support us. Why? They got a mom that they love, and they got a daughter, they got a sister, a niece.
Social media has it very twisted.
And so there are women in their lives that have inspired them or given their last to them so they can be the men that they become, and they want to pay it forward. They really want to see women win. They got a wife or a woman at home. They're supporting her. They
got daughters that they love.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not this, boo hiss on the male gender. No, there are guys that are really for it. And then there's pockets of insecurity no matter where you go, whether it's women or guys. It doesn't matter. People carry that thing. But yeah, I think it's beautiful that you've expanded this out, because I went to the Roundaway Dreams when you were showcasing it down like
a flat iron.
Yeah, yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, and you had a DJ. I can't remember who it was. Somebody was on news. It was
a lot of fun.
Was it Sir Daniel? DJ Sir Daniel? Might have been him. It was somebody else. Might have been Peppermint Gaddy.
It was
might have been somebody.
It was Lady Marauder.
Thank you. And she was doing a really good job.
Yeah, she's
and you
amazing.
had sound outside, and people was outside, and people wore their hoops. I wore my hoops. I had some shrimp hoops. They're not as big as Melissa's, but I got some shrimp hoops, and it was good. And I brought my son with me. Yeah. And it was important for him to understand like the fabric of what his mom comes from. Certain music just requires me to move a certain way. And he was young, and he was like looking kind of like, Mom, stop, knock it off. And I was like, no, music creates freedom. And you or nobody else is going to stop me from expressing how I feel when I hear a certain beat. If I hear a certain beat, if I hear Mary say, all I want to be is happy, that's the anthem. And you throw the hands up and you start moving like Mary. Like certain things are non-negotiable.
Yeah, straight up.
And so you have, through your lens and through what you see, to me, you continue to infuse the culture. You continue to embody what we are as Black people. And I want to and this is what, when I saw you, we were just so in sync, because it was all about hair. I want to talk about your vision and what's going on in your project surrounding our hair and the culture around that.
Yeah. So I mean, even this project, which I still haven't really named yet, like it could be an offshoot of Around the Way Dreams, because it's about a young girl, right? And But maybe not. Right now that I'm thinking about it, maybe not. But it's more. It's really a meditation, and it pays homage to the idea of a mother. Like on paper, it just looks like a mom doing her daughter's hair, right?
Yeah.
And the set of images that I have on display right now. It's a mom putting rollers in her daughter's hair, and that's really, like I said, a homage to the time and the moments and the hours that I spent with my mother. Where it was like wash day, so it was like washing the hair, putting in a relaxer, you know what I'm saying, like all of these things. And then we didn't have flat irons. You know, my mom might have used a blow dryer, but usually she was setting my hair on rollers and putting me, sitting me on a stack of phone books.
That's right.
And putting me under the dryer, right? And how it's how resentful I felt of that, because, you know, as a child, you have Monday through Friday, you go to school. Your time is not really your own. You're always doing something. The one day that you really can do what you want to do is what? Saturday morning. Saturday morning. You understand what I'm saying? But you can't do that if your mom is saying, Melissa, it's time to do your hair, and calling you. Now I'm looking at my older brother do what he wants to do. I'm watching my younger brother do what he wants to do. I'm watching my father move around the house, and there's me relegated to that damn peach. No, not peach. It was like a kind of like a. It was like a peachish, sandy. Colored chair and those damn phone books that kept sliding from underneath me, and our mom coming by and being like, I said sit up, and she trying to move it, and then she's checking my head, then she says it's not dry enough yet, then she's cranking that thing back up to another 45 minutes, and then I gotta sit in there for another 45. Yo, the resentment was real. You know what I'm saying? So shit,
we all went through it. My chair was teal, and it was the one that the seat lift up, and it was a step, so it was dual purpose. So it was a chair, but if you lift the seat up, it was actually two steps that they could use to put stuff up. And yes, you said then I got in a regular chair, and I had to sit in the phone books, and it was hold your ear, because it was hot comb city. Shouts out to my family. Shouts out to my grandmother. May she rest in peace. She was the one that did our hair, right? Mine and my sisters, and it was. And I told Melissa when I saw her, it was a 2-day situation. We really didn't like it. You thought it was one for you, it was two for us. We had to get our hair washed on Saturday. So that means we didn't even really want to go out looking with the plaits, like because it was real puffy and poofy and the plaits. And so we didn't really want to go out with scarves. We did, but it was like, we just scurried to the store and come back. It was like we wasn't looking cute. And then the next day was the press with the hot comb, and my grandmother put like the grease on the back of her head so she could part your hair, and you can hear it. And that's what I grew up in. And so when I could get a perm in high school, because my grandmother was aging and she couldn't do the standing anymore, I was like, oh, this is liberation. You mean they just put this stuff in my hair and I sit for 15 or 20 minutes and then it'll be straight? Because that was the whole concept, you know, right? Wanting to be straight. But I totally agree. We were doing that. We had the pink sponge rollers, and, you know, shouts out to my Puerto Rican friends and Dominican residents. They had the plastic ones with the casing on top of it, and different colors meant different sizes, because they went from real small to real big. And everybody in the neighborhood's wearing a big scarf to cover what it is, because maybe it's Easter Sunday, maybe it's Christmas, maybe it's Mother's Day, it's the first day of school, and it's like the streets are empty with girls. To your point, the boys are the only ones playing two-hand touch, playing a full court of basketball. All they had to do was get a haircut, and that's it.
And they're done.
Lined up, and they're done. And there's no girls out, because they're upstairs getting it together. Hair is such a thing.
We all had an appointment, as my homegirl Tracy says, with the kitchen beautician. That's what Tracy calls herself. She's the kitchen beautician. You know what I'm saying? When she said that, I was like, yo, deadass, that's exactly what it was. So it's like, you know, I felt a lot of resentment, and I think there's a lot of women who can remember feeling resentment, because it's like we were relegated to this thing, right?
Held hostage.
I found that as a woman who is now taking care of her own hair. She has a daughter, you know what I'm saying, and I'm doing her hair.
Right.
I find that my time underneath the dryer is now peace.
Yeah.
Right? I find that I'm like, dang, I could catch up on a little sleep for about 45 minutes, give me a little 45-minute nap, or I could read for 45 minutes, or I could not do anything and just let my mind just drift, right? Yeah. Now, when I do fall asleep, I find myself waking up being like, I gotta go back under this mug, right? And so now it becomes a thing of vigilance. It becomes a reason to stay aware. I become my mom, right? I tell myself, man, that's why you should have sat up. You need to sit up into the thing, right? So now I'm telling myself that. So the work that I produced, right, around this whole, all of those feelings, right, all of that energy is now being, I guess now the conversation that I'm having is how much protection a mom can afford her daughter during that process, right? Mm-hmm. Not only is she teaching her how to care for her hair, how to appreciate her hair, maybe understanding that, like I have a piece called Currency, and the reason is it's a close-up of a comb, right, in the curlers. And it's like, I call it Currency because as a child, I felt like the currency, what I paid to get my hair done in pain. You know what I'm saying? And the comb was the coin. The coin was the currency, right? And so, I guess now I think about it and I'm like, okay, the comb is not my enemy. The comb is in fact my friend. Right? Now, did my mom know the proper detangling procedure? Probably not. She thought putting some pink lotion on that thing was gonna smooth it out. No. It's a lot more to it, right? But now the brush, and I mean, I don't mind the brush, but I feel like I see the brush now as something that can gloss over what's really at the root. The comb gets to the root and detangles all of that out, right? So those are the type of things I'm thinking about. But now also it's like not just this particular series. I really would like to, and I will, do a companion film to it where that film will more explore something happening as a young girl is going under the dryer. And when she comes out, the knowledge that she's going to gain from her mother is going to change her, right? So it's the idea of going in, and the mom has to decide at what point do I take this dryer under which my daughter can neither really see anything because the dryer's down here. You can't really see nothing.
She can't see nothing but feet.
You can't see no feet. Right? You see his feet. All you can see is feet. And your forehead's getting burnt to a crisp.
Right.
But she can neither see nor can she hear because the sound of the dryer, right? So this little girl is underneath here. I think I might make it to where she can see, but she's underneath this dryer, so she can't hear anything going on. All she sees is like the actions of her mom and her sister and her father getting more and more anxious. Right. And she knows something's wrong, and every time she tries to come over, the mom is like, it's not dry, you're not dry enough, you're not dry enough. But that's because the mom knows when she comes up out of here, I'm going to have to tell her some real stuff that's going to maybe change. It's going to change the daughter that went under. So, it's important, again, the Black intimate American experience, or the intimate Black American experience is maybe the better way to say it. That's important to me because it's like we look so often overseas to find our identity. Which I'm cool with, right? I want to know where my peoples came from and all of that stuff. But at the same time, I have to understand that, while we didn't necessarily ask to be brought here and we were forced here and all of that stuff, this is where we are. And I don't want to discount or negate that we also have something to celebrate here, right? So that's what... This whole hair thing is an appreciation for many different parts of our experience, but it all just stems from a memory of, Melissa, it's time to get your hair done.
But it goes to the thing that we talked about earlier. You mentioned what you see through the lens is intimacy. And it's a different kind of intimacy between a mother and a daughter. Sometimes maybe a mom didn't say anything to the child all week because of life, right? I got to go to work. I got to get the groceries. But then that's the time together. So now tell me what's going on. Why is so-and-so bothering you? How is school? I see you got an A on your paper. That's good. I knew you could. Like that's the time that people reconnect. And so when we see the images in Black culture, when mothers are doing the hair, it's a connection. It could also be a chastising. Like, didn't I tell you not to do that? Didn't I tell you stay away from that boy? Stay away from that guy. What goes on between me and your father is none of your business. It could be whatever. Because there's so many different dynamics that goes on in a Black household that when you sit in between the legs of your mom getting that hair done and combed, it could be magical or it could be something else, but you're capturing that. And so much so that even to the same point, Black men enjoy the fact of sitting in between a lady's legs, getting their hair braided, getting their afro picked out. It's a thing.
Let me tell you something. One of the most interesting parts when we had the opening a couple weeks ago, one of the most interesting perspectives that I received was from Black men. Not because they remember what was on display, right? But because they remember seeing it. Yes. Like, so one gentleman was like, I didn't go through that, but I have 6 sisters or 5 sisters, and so I was the younger brother that was going out, and every time I came back in, it was a new sister in her place. I go out and come back, it's another sister, right? Another homeboy of mine was like, I remember seeing, like, he told me a little more in detail, I remember seeing this, I remember the smell, I remember seeing the products, I remember all this. And so it's like hearing about that from the brother, the older or younger perspective, is just as interesting, because they said to me, I haven't thought about this in years.
Yeah.
I haven't thought, like,
once you get paroled,
they was like, yo, you brought this memory back to me so clearly. Yeah. I kind of want to go call my sister.
Once you get paroled from that, you put it behind you. You don't really want to
honestly, you're correct about that. Yeah. But it's just been interesting. Yeah. Like an interesting exploration. It feels like, I guess it goes back to, like, I've read things that have said, like, no idea is original, right? And I've seen so many different ways that people have talked about Black hair and how important Black hair is, and even the experience of a mom and her daughter as it relates to Black hair, right? Right. But I'm like, I want to explore it, but it's really about the execution is what makes it original, right? Right. And so I'm still coming to understand what that looks like for me. But I know it feels good, and it feels like I'm going in the right direction. It feels like with most things that are going on in my life right now, we're moving with feeling. Yeah. Right? We're moving with what feels good. And when I say feels good, I mean not just like, this is going to make me money, or, whatever. But it's like, even when it looks like this is not what I should be focusing on, because it's not necessarily helping me right now. Right. But I'm thinking about the overarching, this feels like the right direction. It feels like I'm listening once again, like when I quit my job, you know what I mean? I'm listening to my God mind. And my God mind ain't going to steer me wrong. It's going to, if anything, I'm going to get steered wrong if I don't listen to it. If you
don't listen. I think your God mind is telling you, or something is telling me, you're a director.
Oh, what?
You are a director.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
you are a director. Like, I don't see you, like, photography is your love and a passion, but I see you directing short films, documentaries, because your vision is so clear. And you just have a great connection, Melissa, to creativity and the human spirit and soul. and how that translates. And so I think that's what a job of a director should have. You know, how to tell that story that's moving from one cell to another, like just cinematically, just keep it going. And so I think that's your, you know, I wouldn't be surprised. That's why I had to get you today, because you're blowing up. You blow up, Shuey. Like, you're busy. You got all these projects. You got stuff in the pipeline, stuff in the queue, and it just aligned. Like, today was the day that we could do this.
You know, that I appreciate you saying that, because I felt it. I have felt it. Yeah. But it's like, what I'm coming to understand right now, I'll say this. What I'm coming to understand right now is that, as a matter of fact, I read this just this morning. I'm trying to give myself different, like, create a routine for the mornings, where it's not wake up, look at phone, where it's more like wake up, take a moment to assess how you feel for the day, read something that's going to help you, and then, you know, eventually you can check your phone, right? That's beautiful. So today I read this thing that said, it was talking about frequency of, like, just like frequency of doing something, like making sure that you're in a space to be ready to do something, do a little bit of something every day, that type of thing. And one of the points that was mentioned in the book was, and I don't want to mess it up, but it was something similar to, the thing that keeps people from really progressing is that they're afraid, right? And then they're afraid of saying that they're good at something. Yeah. And the reason they're afraid, man, this resonated so hard. They were afraid because to say that they were good at something, because if they say that they're good at something, now people are going to expect them to be good at it all the time. All the time. And then it's like, you have to be good at being good at being good. All the time. All the time. Because not just now. Yeah. And that's all because you stood up and said, I know what I'm doing. I'm good. Yeah. I know what I'm doing. Yeah. Oh, you know what you're doing? Well, you're going to know what you're doing when things are good, bad, crazy, up, down, left, right. Yeah, all the time. And you know what? That's not the truth, right? And that's what our fear is feeding us. And I realized that in a large way, that's why I'm not saying that I'm not going to be not humble. You know what I'm saying? I'm always going to have a level of humility inside of me. But at what point can I sit back and say, I'm good at what I do. I'm excellent at what I do. I feel good about what I do. Right. I feel like I make beautiful work. Not just say, yo, I'm pretty okay. No, I'm better than a pretty okay. You're good. I enjoy what I do, and it shows. Right. Right. And I feel like, and this is not me, you know, I am saying it now, and might be the first time I've ever actually said that out loud. So thank you. But I'm thinking also for people who are listening, for you, for everyone, it's like, have the courage to say, I'm good at what I do. I'm good at what I do. Yeah. But say it like for real. Yeah, for real, for real. I'm good at what I do. You are. Yeah. Say, you know what I'm saying? You are a fantastic interviewer. You're a fantastic person. You know what I'm saying? You create spaces for people to be themselves. Yes. To have fun. I love it. You know what I'm saying? Yes. And you love it. You know what I mean? So it's like, and it shows that you love it, right? Which is why you continue to be successful at what you do. Because at some point you said to yourself, yeah, I could do this. Yeah. And come hell or high water, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Yeah. I'm doing it. I'm already doing it. Yeah, absolutely right. You're right. You're right. Melissa, what's next for you? What is it? The one thing you've done that the one thing you haven't done that you like to do, or what's next for you? Around the Way Dreams? Yes. Yes. Right. So what I have to say about that is that when you're like, I'm used to being a lone wolf, right? Straight up. I'll be howling with my dog. I'm used to being a lone wolf. I'm used to being me doing everything. Right. Spirit said, you need to learn how to open up your hand to receive so that you can also give. Beautiful. Right? So over the summer, or maybe a little bit before the summer, spring, late spring, early summer, I had a meeting with 6 women, and I said, I have this idea to do Around the Way Dreams, and I want to take it on tour. Can you help? I think I've identified y'all for certain roles. If you think you want to be down, let's see what's up. And they were down, right? And they was like, oh yeah, we love this. Like, I'll help you with this. It's getting to the point where sometimes I forget that I have the help, and I'm still like feeling concerned about stuff. And they were like, whoa. Yeah. You're leaning into my territory. I got you. I got your back. So me and this group of women who are so wonderful and so kind and so dope, right, are going to be having a kickoff fundraiser / birthday party for me. Yes. But but it's a kickoff fundraiser for Around the Way Dreams, because you know, and you know, I have to be real about this. You know, a tour takes money. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, well, we want to hit 3 cities outside of Atlanta: New York, Detroit, and Philly. To bring the Around the Way experience, which is not just, I mean, it's music and dancing, and it's, you know, we'll have vendors and we'll have all of this stuff, but really at the heart of it is the discussion portion of what means to be from around the way, and how being from around the way informs the different parts of our lives, right? And how we relate to each other, you know, parenthood, you know, marriage, being a single person, finances, all of that stuff. Like, how does it inform all of that? So we're having the kickoff on October 13th at a location called Create ATL, right on the west side. And you know, it's gonna be fly. I mean, it's gonna be really dope. But like, yeah. So that's what we have coming up.
I support Melissa. I show up. She'd be like, "Hey," I'm like, "I see you, Juicy."
Yeah, for real. Like,
I'll be there. And if you need a moderator for the discussion,
I'm gonna definitely keep that in mind, because like it's important. Yeah, it's like I want as many people. I want to bring as many people as I can on these type of things. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Like it's important. It's important because not just that we create a family, you know what I'm saying, we're creating, we can trust each other, right, to do the lane that you were supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? That's a really important part of it. But it's like the more the merrier, man. Like, let's just, not to say I'm trying to be like New Birth or Parliament Funkadelic. They got like 20,000 people in their groups. You know what I'm saying? And they got to stretch them checks 20,000 different ways. But really, it's important. It's important because it's like, I believe in what you're doing. Yeah. And everyone involved, I believe in what they're doing, and we all believe in each other, right? Correct. So it's like there's no sense of ego where it's like, well, I want me and I want to be. It's a collective, and they really understand that, right? So Around the Way Dreams is like my God mind is saying, focus on this. Yes. Right? Of course, I still need clients. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Holla at me. But of course, I still need clients. Yeah. But really, it's like I'm working now to get something in full effect to where we're in demand. Like, we need this experience to come to our city. We need this experience. Yeah, you do need it. Yeah. But it's coming from a place of, let's all get together and just have a good time, a good growing, intimate time.
There you go. Where can the people find you, Melissa? Where can they find you?
You can find me in West End.
Phyllis Iller. Well, on social media. On your social media.
No. Of course. You can find me online. My website is www.phyllisiller.com, and that's PHYLLISILLER.com, like Phyllis Diller, but no D, unfortunately. Right? No D, unfortunately. But Phyllis Iller, or you can find me on Instagram at Phyllis like a period and then ILLER.
Look at your work. See how beautiful that is?
It is kind of nice though. Seeing it, it's like, wow. Gorgeous. Those are, remembering each of those experiences separately, and you know, I see all of my love right there.
Look
you know
at that.
what I mean?
That's your passion right there.
It truly is. It truly is.
Work.
All of those, like all of that, like it's a blessing, man. It's a blessing to have found my calling so early in my life.
Yeah.
And to know that it's going to, you know, shape everything.
And be here long after you're gone.
Yeah, straight up. Like that, like I know that I'm a good person, and I know I have good character. You know what I mean? And the reason I'm able to stand in that, or the reason I'm able to stand in my work so hard is because I do know who I am.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not out here trying to mess nobody up.
No.
I'm not trying to like get over on nobody. I'm just here to have a good time.
Yeah.
And like a for real good time.
Yeah. And
you know what I'm saying? Like,
capturing it
like yeah. Like let's enjoy ourselves. Let's share some things, and let's find strength in each other.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Well, that's my time. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Melissa. This was awesome. I knew it was going to be all that in a bag of chips.
It
was very good. Thank you so much for your time. It's something about the way she moves. Listen, that's my time. It's Real Chicks Rock. You know me. I am everywhere. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Real Chicks Rock. Go to the website, realchicksrock.com. Until next time, be well, take care, and continue to rock on.